You guys ever bring up an unfinished argument on accident? Like out of nowhere, I was driving around and there used to be this crack on the windshield. Now, it wasn't placed there by me, right? And, there's an argument to be had, but here's the story. She says it's fake, but here's the story. We were driving home one day, and this is back when it was a brand new car. Well, it was a brand new car to me, but it was brand new, you know? Of course, they say when you drive it off the lot, it like loses everything, but it's brand new, okay? Roll with me. So we're rolling down the highway, and she is going triple digits, okay? I've never seen a car go so fast. Only on TV, right? And because at that speed, you can feel the speed, right? Anytime else, you're like, oh my goodness, everyone else is going so slow. Unless you're outside of the car, then the car's moving fast. But if you're inside the car, everybody looks like they're going the same speed, unless they're going triple digits. Because then you hear the whew, and they are just whooshing, right? So triple digits. And that's when you see triple digits and you're in the car, right? And you're not expecting to go that fast, right? There's one time I went that fast, my head was glued to the seat, right? You can't be just driving up there without warning somebody. And then I hear this ding on the windshield, more like a thud, right? And it was a rock, right? And we were on the highway, right? There's no rocks just flying in the middle of the road. She begs to differ, of course. But that thing hit the windshield, and a crack seemingly appeared. And that crack was there forever. And I always used to bring it up like, hey, remember when you cracked the windshield? And then, you'd argue about it because she said she didn't do it. How it wasn't her fault. She didn't cause the rock to go in the air. But I'm just saying, if you're driving that fast, here's my theory. And it's a horrible one. And you only do it because you're trying to prove a point. Why is it that you want to win the argument? I just want one, right? You can't have one. You never get one, right? I just slipped because that's a sign right there that I'm not going to get one. But I wanted this one. So I'm like, hey, when you cracked the windshield? She goes, no, I didn't. I go, well, look, even if you didn't throw the rock, right? Because I'm not saying she threw the rock in the highway. I'm just saying she hit it. I'm just saying the velocity of the speed at which she was going, right? And then however the rock appeared in the road, if she wasn't going as fast as she was going, maybe the collision wouldn't have been. When you try and come up with an explanation that makes no sense, she hits me back with, you don't even know what you don't know anything about cars. Explain to me what horsepower is. And for the first time, I was like, oh. You see, they get you. They throw you way off your curve, and then you're just staring at them, and you're going, well, this has nothing to do with. And they go, you got nothing. I go, well, I mean, it's the power of a horse. Which I never understood that at all. Is 1 horsepower the equivalent of 1 horse, or just the power of 1 horse? Because honestly, when you're going 60 miles per hour, or when it says 60 horsepower, is that 60 horses? Right, and do they equate that to when we were pulling carriages with horses? Like, is that how the math was determined? They were like, okay, we can figure this out. Now that we have this motorized vehicle that goes way faster than this horse, right? Have you ever ridden a horse? Like, what? Okay, so they're going, but yeah, we need some sort of measurement. I got it. We used to say horsepower because that's how we got places. Right? How do you think we got anywhere? Horses was that tripled our speed. And now the car, so they had a way to, and then so they came up with horsepower. But I kept thinking about it like not all. See, the problem with we're relying on an animal to do the math. Well, we're not relying on the horse. We didn't go to the horse and be like, hey, how fast are you? Goes, no, we got this new thing. Hey, why don't you race this new thing and we'll compare, and that's how we'll figure out the horsepower. I'm really diving into the nonsense of me not knowing anything. And then I started thinking, well, no offense to any horses, but I've I've been on and seen a few, well, no offense, lame horses. So they can't be in the meter of horsepower. I went to this dude ranch one time. I have no idea what a dude ranch is, but I thought it was just a place where there's just dudes, right? When I was a kid, it was just my mom, so I thought maybe she was trying to like, oh well, dude, there you go, dude ranch. I see when you don't know, the explanation you come up with in your head doesn't always need to be said out loud because it's not always accurate. But anyways, we go to this dude ranch and I'm thinking you're going to learn some outdoorsy things. See, in the moment I just said outdoorsy things, you know that I didn't learn anything outdoorsy. When I was a kid, they had this week where they took you to outdoor camp. Again, what are we doing here? And I think it was just the point of like, I think we keep these kids inside too much. We need an excuse to still teach them the same things we're trying to teach them inside, just in an outdoor environment. Because there's no outside activities. We're in this outdoor camp. Here are the things that I remember learning from this outdoor camp. One, putting heavy things in pillows during a pillow fight hurts, right? Obviously, but you really get the implication when there's nothing else to do and you're children. So you think, well, let's just beat each other with something soft, and it's not. The pillow is like laced with rocks. Like some of these kids really, their creativity is really destructive. Okay, so, and the other thing I learned is I can sometimes be so blind that I will walk straight into a window. I'm telling you right now, like I walked out, and when you see a group of pretty girls, you're like, oh, I'm going to do the walkout, right? The sun's hitting this door, right? I'm going to swing it open. It's going to be perfect. I walked with a confidence I have never walked with since because after that moment, it was gone. Because I was just strutting my stuff going, oh, check this out. I walked straight into this window because I mean, congratulations for the person who cleaned that thing because the Windex really was shining on that puppy. It was see-through. I didn't even know it was there. So, you know, outdoor, not learning too much. So we go to this dude ranch. They had a foosball table, because that's something they throw at you. They take away all the technology and then they just give you things that are still indoors. You're like, oh, hey, welcome to the ranch. There's a foosball table. And you're thinking, what? How am I learning anything here? And so we get on this horse. That was one thing we did get to, because you're thinking a ranch, I'm at least going to do something, rope a cow, none of that. But we did get to go on a horse. We saw this guy that looked like he had like this burn mark on his face. It was really gnarly. And it was like, for us or for me, I was super fascinated. I was like, what happened? You always try and create like a story, just like I tried to create a meaning to something instead of just looking it up. I could look it up and probably figure it out a lot better than coming up with in my head. But when you're a kid, all you got is your imagination. You're like, oh my, what was he burned by acid, or did he have like a melting accident? I mean, he's up here in a ranch, right? They don't have accident. They don't have any TVs. All they got is a foosball table. So they gotta be doing things by hand, and that means the old ways. And he looked like he was in like a place that, there was smoke billowing out of. So there was like smoke. You're just putting random facts together. They're not even facts. They're just things you're observing that you have a limited experience with. And you're like, this makes sense. And then we find out it's a birthmark. And you're going, what is that? Because you don't know you don't know what that is. And it turns out, that's when you learn you got one. They go, hey, you have one of those. It's some mark. You're just born with it. There is no rhyme or reason. There's just there. And apparently, like, his is on his face. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And mine apparently is like on my arm, but it's like, it's not that great. And I didn't even know that what it was. I just told people it was the only spot like I could tan, because this is like a little mark, right? And it's on my left arm. And so you just kind of like, there it is. But you were so fascinated. And so I was trying to pay attention to this guy, and maybe he was trying to give me proper lessons on how to ride this horse. And maybe that's why I think I got a bad horse because maybe I just didn't know what I was doing yet again. But anyways, I'm on this horse and we're going up this mountain ridge. There is a cliff on one side and there is safety. Well, there's just a road, right? We're on like a mountainside. So you got a cliff and then you got nothing. You can't go that way because that's a mountain. So you're just on this kind of road. My horse wanted to go left, which was right off the cliff. And I kept having to go, hey man, you can do this when I'm not here. Well, I don't want you to do this at all, but don't do this while I'm here because we're in this together. Like, I know you didn't sign up for this. You didn't choose me to take up this mountain. You know, you were just kind of chosen. But now that we're here, please don't walk off the side of the cliff. It didn't matter. It was just like I'm getting out of here. And my first theory, because we're doing this, was that it had to be like a race horse, right? Because that's the only thing I can think. Race cars, all they know, it's just one big circle and they just, drive left, yeah, or they turn left a lot. It's really exciting because they're going super fast. And kind of the same thing with, a horse race. They go around in a track. You ever been to one of those things? It turns out that you can actually like not determine who's going to win, but there's data that you can utilize. I just thought people went on a whim and they were just like, that horse has given me a feeling of winning. And you're thinking, what? Why? Because number 8 is a lucky number, right? Because they don't give you the logic or what they're actually trying to use because they got to keep it for themselves. They give you the hoopla. And the hoopla is nonsense. They're like, oh, that cloud told me. And you're like, what? No, seriously. That cloud was here the last time that number 3 won. So that cloud's here today. Number 3 is going to win. And you're thinking, these can't be real things. And then number 3 wins. And it turns out they were using like actual data, not a cloud in the sky. So this horse, he just wanted to keep going left. Then, my other thought was, the horse in front of us was having a bad day, stomach problems. Let's just leave it at that. And maybe my horse was just like, I don't want to follow. If this is where we have to go, I don't want to follow. So I'm going this way. And I'm sorry that you're accompanying me for the ride. But if I bring up that cracked windshield one more time, I will be the one that's not only being navigated off the cliff, but maybe being pushed. So with that, I gotta get off this mountain. So we'll catch you guys on the next time. Until next time, bye-bye.